There is a moment most people know very well. You have a dream, a goal, something you really want, and you tell yourself, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll begin when the time is right. I just need a little more time to prepare. But that moment never comes. Days pass, then months, then years, and that dream still sits there, untouched, waiting. This is the story of John, a man who waited his whole life to feel ready, and what happened when he finally understood the truth. John was 27 years old. He had a dream he had carried since he was a teenager. He wanted to start his own business, something small, something his. He had notebooks full of ideas, pages of plans, hours of research. His mind was always moving, always thinking, always planning. But his hands never moved. Every time he sat down to begin, the same thoughts would come. I don't know enough yet. What if I make a mistake? What if I start and it all falls apart? So he would wait. He enrolled in one more course, read one more book, watched one more video, and told himself, now I'm almost ready. His friends noticed. His younger brother had already started a small shop. His college friend had launched a website, imperfect, messy, but alive. And John? He was still preparing. People around him stopped asking about his plans because the plans never became anything. John told himself he was being careful, being smart, being responsible. But deep inside, in that quiet place he tried not to visit, he knew. He wasn't preparing. He was hiding. He was afraid. Afraid that if he actually tried and it didn't work, he would have nothing left to hold on to. The dream, as long as it stayed a dream, was safe. No one could take it from him. No one could tell him he failed because he had never really tried. That thought kept him frozen for years. One afternoon, John visited his uncle, an old man who had lived a full life, built things, lost things, and built again. They sat together on the rooftop, drinking tea, watching the city below. John said quietly, almost to himself, I think I'm almost ready to start. His uncle looked at him and replied, You said that last year, and the year before. John didn't answer. His uncle picked up a small potted plant from the corner of the rooftop. It was dry. The soil was cracked. The leaves had curled at the edges. He held it out to John and said, I kept waiting for the perfect day to water this plant. Kept thinking, tomorrow, when it's cooler, when I have more time. He set it down gently. Now look at it. John looked. The plant was still alive, barely, but it had suffered for all that waiting. His uncle then said something John never forgot. Readiness is not something you feel before you begin. It is something you build by beginning. He leaned back and continued. The man who waits to feel ready waits forever because the feeling never comes. It was never meant to come first. Then he looked at John directly. You are not waiting to be ready, son. You are waiting to be guaranteed. And life does not give guarantees. It only gives chances. John sat in silence. He realized he had been waiting for certainty. But certainty was the one thing starting could never promise. Only finishing could bring that. And finishing required beginning. That evening, John went home. He opened his notebook, the same one filled with plans he had never acted on. He read through it slowly, and for the first time, it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a debt he owed to himself. He picked up his phone and registered a simple business name. It took 10 minutes. It was not perfect. It was not ready. but it was real. And something shifted inside him in that moment. Not confidence, not certainty, just movement. He had taken one step, and the world had not fallen apart. In the weeks that followed, he made mistakes. Of course he did. He learned things no course had ever taught him. He adjusted. He kept going. And slowly, the person he had always imagined became the person he was becoming. Not because he finally felt ready, but because he finally stopped waiting to. He realized something important. Waiting to feel ready is just fear wearing a patient face. It looks responsible. It sounds wise. But underneath, it is the same old fear. Fear that you might try and still not be enough. And the only answer to that fear is not more preparation. It is action. Imperfect, uncertain, brave action. So if you are waiting to feel ready, hear this clearly. You are ready enough right now. Not perfect, not complete, not guaranteed, but ready enough to take the first step. The version of you that keeps waiting is protecting you, but it is also keeping you small. The version of you that begins, even with shaking hands, that version grows. That version becomes. So close the notebook full of plans, open a new page, and write just one thing you will do today. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today. Because the truth is, you will never feel ready. And that is exactly the right time to begin. If this story touched something inside you, like, share, and subscribe for more stories. Every week,